But first, after 8 long months, Congress has finally reached a deal on a $900 billion coronavirus relief bill. The bill will include $600 checks, meaning a family of 4 could get up to $2,400, depending on their income. There's also payments of up to $300 per week for federal unemployment benefits, which could begin as early as next week. It also includes a $25 billion in rental assistance and an extension on an eviction moratorium, which was set to run out in days. The bipartisan bill does not include a Republican priority of liability protections, nor one of the Democrats' priorities of state and local funding. Voting on the bill is expected to come later today. Let's bring in Politico senior Washington correspondent and co-author of the Politico Playbook, Anna Palmer, with more on this. Anna, tell us sort of the details of the deal, some of the sticking points, and where do we go from here?
It's been a long, drug-out negotiation, as we're all aware, and they finally, kind of in the last bid gasp before the end of 2020, have come to a deal here in Washington. Both sides are unhappy, which is usually what happens when these kind of big, massive deals come together. I think one of the biggest things that sticks out to me is the fact that we haven't even seen text of this bill, even though they are expected to be voting on it in the coming hours. The White House says it's going to sign it in. The big question remains, what future could there be for any more money coming, any more stimulus coming? The numbers are only going to get tighter in 2021. And so this could really be one of the last packages and relief efforts that Congress is able to do.
So, Jonathan Lemire, the president wanted more money, more than $600. It talked about becoming involved in the process, but really didn't so much in the end. And you actually had that bipartisan consensus group in the center, starting with Joe Manchin and Mitt Romney, driving this from the start.
Yeah, it's a relief for so many Americans that this deal is finally done, though, of course, frustration that it took so long. And you're right. President Trump really played a hands-off role. Treasury Secretary Mnuchin was his sort of representative during these talks. But the president, outside of the stray tweet, really wasn't part of this, although he almost blew up the process late last week when he wanted much larger checks into the hands of Americans and was told by advisors that simply the Republicans in the Senate would not go for that. But it does look like a bipartisan agreement has been reached. The president is expected to sign this. And my question for you would be, we heard from both sides of the aisle that this deal is a first step, or perhaps a second step after what we saw in the spring, and that there's hope for another package. Both Senate Majority Leader McConnell, so we heard from Pelosi and Schumer, say that more will be needed next year. That, of course, will come under a Biden administration. How easy, or frankly, how difficult will this be to put together a package like this? Could it be even bigger next time around?
I think it's going to be very, very, very difficult. I can't underscore that enough, frankly. I mean, this took months to get this deal done, really at the end of the wire. And if you look at the majorities in the House in particular, there's going to be very little wiggle room for Speaker Nancy Pelosi to get any kind of a deal done, particularly when you look at House Republicans 2 years later wanting to fight for a majority. They're going to be having that in their sights every single day. And in the Senate, you saw Chuck Schumer saying this is just a down payment in terms of the things that they didn't get in there. They didn't get that state and local money that they wanted to. But it's hard to see how or what would be the mechanism that would actually force Congress to act on this unless there is some really big economic downturn.
Politico's Anna Palmer, thank you very much for coming on this morning.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.